Coming up in our number 10 spot, we of course have Chernobyl. Chernobyl is a place in Kyiv, Ukraine that is most known for its accidental power plant explosion that polluted the whole city of Pripyat with radiation in 1986. Apparently, Chernobyl is one of the most impressive places for urban exploration, even though it is not encouraged. There is mixed opinion as to whether the radiation level is fully safe there, as people in the towns near it have seen a life expectancy decrease and have experienced other health concerns that could be pointed to the radiation. The complete cleanup isn't projected to be finished until 2065. I will be 75. So personally, I wouldn't recommend it, but go at your own risk. Apparently, exploring the abandoned town of Pripyat and walking through the Chernobyl exclusive zone really gives you the feeling of stepping into a post-apocalyptic world. I'm truly a massive Hunger Games fan, so this would be rather tempting to me. If you're enjoying this video so far, please go ahead and smash that like button, as it really helps us out. In our number 9 spot, we have Bulgaria's Buz Lugza. Okay, honestly, if I felt so inclined to be adventurous and possibly risk being arrested, don't know if I ever would feel that way, but say I was going through a quarter-life crisis and wanted to do something crazy, I would definitely visit the Buz Lugza. This place looks like a spaceship. It probs is, and they fooled the country into thinking that it was a place for the Communist Party when it was active. The people of Bulgaria literally call it the flying saucer, so I think all signs point to it clearly being from an alien planet. In 1868, it was the place of the final battle between Bulgarian rebels and forces of the Ottoman Empire. Inside, it is completely destroyed, but if you're able to imagine what it could have been like before it was destroyed, then you could probably see that it truly does check out as a spaceship. In our number 8 spot, we have the Bangar Fort. The Bangar Fort is a 16th century fort built in the Rajasthan in India. Apparently, this place is not banned to visitors during the day, however, it is strictly forbidden at night. Why is it forbidden? Well, because it is believed to be the most haunted place in India. It has so many legends surrounding it, tales of ghosts and curses, and there's even one around trespassers at night. It is said that if you wander inside at nighttime, you don't ever leave. It's true. That's a real legend. The ghosts probably eat your soul. No big. But the locals believe it, as many have gone in and then have fully disappeared afterwards. Well, that's so terrifying, but man, we've got to get a ghost hunter or someone to at least go near it at night and see if they pick up on anything. That would honestly be a really fun video to watch. In our number 7 spot, we have Heard and MacDonald Island. This is a closed island, but do people still go urban exploring there regardless? Yes. It is not recommended though, because this island is so remote that it would take a 2-week minimum sail in order to get to the closest landmass. It's an Australian territory island, but it is located between Antarctica and Madagascar. On the island, you will find plenty of cold climate animals, including penguins, seals, and marine birds. It's also not recommended for exploring because of the huge lava flow coming from the island's volcano, and also its, poor weather conditions. Unless you have some sort of fantasy to be near a volcano that could possibly erupt one day soon, I think it's probs best to stay away from this island. In our number 6 spot, we have the island of Snakes. Yeah, you heard that right. There is an island in Brazil that is an island filled with snakes. Ooh. Don't know why no one has capitalized on this movie concept yet. The island is called Ilha da Queimada Grande. Whew, Melissa! Can't believe I got that one. Very hard to pronounce. This is honestly not a place you want to try to go urban exploring. You could seriously get hurt. The only people allowed on the island are researchers and trained snake experts, and even they have to have doctors with them when they go, a rule set forth by the Brazilian government. These are not just your regular garden snakes. Nope. They are some of the world's deadliest, with venom that can melt your flesh. Yeah, that's right. Lovely. It's definitely best that you stay away. In our number 5 spot, we have Pravsika Brana. The Pravsika Brana is a very famous Czech Republic arch. It was available to the public until 1982, when it became forbidden for anyone to visit. Why? Well, because all of the visitors that were coming to see it were causing a bit of wear, essentially, and it was increasing the likelihood of the structure collapsing over time. So to reduce the likelihood, tourists were cut off. Of course, they can still view it, they just can't go on it. It's not guaranteed guaranteed that it won't eventually collapse, but the government hopes that it will at least give us more time with this beautiful structure. Well, that's a good reason to not go urban exploring here. Let's keep this arch standing as long as possible. In our number 4 spot, we have the tomb of Shenshi Huang. I mean, the pictures of this site, they're unreal. But unfortunately, this place is off limits to everyone. Yes, all of you urban explorers out there, don't even bother. It is forbidden by the Chinese government as they are trying to preserve their cultural heritage and pay respect to the man buried there. Also, apparently there's nothing we can do technology-wise to prevent the tomb's destruction if it's excavated right now. So that's another reason to limit the amount of visitors until that happens. It makes sense, although quite sad, as this place looks epic. There is a reproduction of Shenshi Huang's army, known as the Terracotta Army, made of clay. Intensely amazing. This place was a massive discovery that was only found in 1974. Hopefully it will be open to the public in my lifetime. We hope. In our number 3 spot, we have the Global Seed Vault. In Norway, there is a place that is known as the Global Seed Vault. Its nickname is the Doomsday Vault. This is because it is a place that was built to store 100 million seeds from all over the world to restore the plant kingdom in case something horrible happens to the planet, such as, explosions, earthquakes, etc. The vault was created in 2008 and was made to store the seeds for 200 years. It's definitely something I would want to see up close, as it's pretty cool that this is one place where politics seem to not exist and the countries of the world have come together for this cause. Even North Korea. Of course, going inside is forbidden, and honestly, I wouldn't want to anyways, to make sure the seeds are safe. I wonder if they have stored some soil too, as I have definitely heard that our soil is becoming more and more contaminated, and we might need a less contaminated soil in the future. So hopefully they did. In our number 2 spot, we have Poveglia. The Poveglia is a small island that is located between Venice and Lido, and it is strictly forbidden to everyone. But perhaps for a very, very good reason, as it certainly has a bloody past. It used to be a plague quarantine station that has had over 160,000 infected people, many who ended up passing away on the island. It is said that about 50% of the island's soil is really just the remains of all the humans that passed away there. Yikes. I'm surprised that this too hasn't been made into a movie yet. Many moons after the plague, the island was then turned into a mental hospital before being shut down completely. Definitely a place you may not want to go exploring anyway. In our number 1 spot, we have the Chichén Itzá. Okay, I know this one is not banned from the world to see. In fact, I have seen it in person myself, and it's incredible. A magical place that I would recommend to everyone. However, it is forbidden to climb. Before 2006, people used to climb the pyramid, but after a fatal accident, the government decided to ban all tourists from climbing up it. Honestly, this is perhaps a good thing because it's quite steep, and I don't know, I wouldn't have the balls myself to climb it anyways. Although I am known to be a little bit of a physical wimp. Mentally, I'm as strong as David Goggins. Okay, no one's as strong as him. Stay hard.
Starting off this countdown, we have St. Elmo. St. Elmo, originally known as Forest City, was once a very popular mining town in Colorado. They had about 2,000 people living there when the mines opened. However, in the early 1920s, the mining industry started to decline, and slowly people packed up and left. However, it's not completely abandoned. Apparently, a couple of people still live there, but it's said that this place is haunted. In fact, it's said that it is home to some of the most paranormal activity in the state. Maybe it's a good spot for paranormal investigators, but not the best area to live in. I mean, I wouldn't want ghosts for neighbors. I mean, maybe I would, if they were friendly ghosts that kept noise levels down, then sure. Moving on at number 9, we have Krakow, Italy. Krakow, Italy was founded in the 8th century. However, it now lays abandoned due to a series of destructive natural disasters. The first natural disaster occurred in 1963 when a bunch of landslides affected the area. This was a result of the city being built on a cliff 1,300 feet off of the ground, and they also had some sewer and water system issues. Then in 1972, a flood struck the area and made the whole situation worse. Then in 1980, there was an earthquake that left the city completely completely abandoned. Now, the only people you may catch there are film crews. It's a very popular filming location. Some scenes in the film Quantum of Solace were shot there. But the area itself is considered a ticking time bomb, and it's surrounded by a locked gate. Making our way down the list, number 8, we have the city underwater. You aren't going to be able to visit this next city unless you have access to scuba diving gear, because this city is now completely submerged underwater. Built 1300 years ago, the city I'm referring to is Shai-Chang, also referred to as Lion City, and it's located in eastern China. In 1959, the city was purposely flooded to build a hydroelectric power station. Now it's referred to as China's Atlantis. What's pretty fascinating is that although it lays about 40 meters underwater, the buildings are still in pretty good shape. The only change is instead of having human residents, it's home to tons of aquatic life. Moving on to number 7, we have Cahaba, Alabama. Cahaba in Alabama was abandoned after suffering from seasonal flooding. In 1865, Cahaba was destroyed by a flood and then abandoned. After the flood, living there became relatively impossible, so residents had no choice but to leave. But then in the 1920s, an archaeologist started to uncover and preserve some of the structures. Now it's said that the area is very haunted. In fact, it's known for a ghostly orb that can be seen floating around only to vanish into thin air. So the citizens may no longer live there, but ghosts certainly do. In our 6th spot, we have VAROSHA, Cyprus. In the early 70s, VAROSHA was one of the most popular tourist attractions in the world. That was until 1974 when Turkey invaded Cyprus. As a result, the residents there fled for their lives. Some residents have told stories of pots being left on their stoves or things still left in their ovens. It's quite sad how they were forced out of their own home and not allowed to return. Since 1974, VAROSHA has been abandoned and under control of the Turkish military. The whole area is now fenced off and under constant supervision. If you try to break in, well, the army patrols have orders to shoot on sight. So don't even try to visit the city, it definitely will end badly. It's just such a shame because the area is beautiful. In fact, actress Elizabeth Taylor loved going there. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Plymouth, Montserrat. Plymouth, once the capital of Montserrat in the Caribbean, is often referred to as Pompeii of the Caribbean. Why? Well, in 1996, a volcano erupted, causing a mass evacuation. A few months later, some residents returned, but were welcomed with another eruption. On June 25, 1997, this eruption killed 19 residents and destroyed the island's airport, trapping many others from fleeing. Eventually, Plymouth was evacuated again, but this time, no one dared to return. Everything was destroyed. In fact, 80% of the town is currently covered in ash. Pictures show homes completely buried with only their roofs sticking out. It's quite sad and scary. Moving on to number 4, we have Centralia. Centralia is an abandoned town located in Pennsylvania. It was once a populated town, however, a lot of residents were forced to leave due to unsafe living conditions. This all started after a coal fire ignited underground. This fire has been burning for almost 50 years. And it's predicted to continue on for another 200 years. As a result of this fire, tons of sinkholes have formed, hot smoke is released underground, and carbon monoxide has filled some residents' basements. In some parts of the town, it's said that the ground beneath them have reached up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 400 degrees Celsius for us Canadians. Now, the US government is trying to erase any history of this city. They took away any signs directing people to this town, removed the town's zip code, and forced most of the residents out, except for 7 residents that are happy living in their deadly town and refuse to move out. In our 3rd spot, we have the Island of Dolls, aka the island I never want to visit. Located in Mexico City, the Island of Dolls is full of dolls hanging from trees and buildings. If that's not bad enough, these dolls have been there for so long that they are covered in dirt, cobwebs, and insects, making them look that much more terrifying. Now, you're probably wondering how this place came to be. Clearly, it's not Annabelle or Chucky's private island resort, though it could be. So back in the 1950s, a man named Don Julian started to hang dolls from trees as a way to protect himself against evil spirits. Paranormal things kept happening to him there, so he would hang dolls everywhere with the idea that they would scare the souls of the deceased. He spent more than 50 years hanging dolls. Some were found in the garbage, some were missing limbs. Did not matter. If it was a doll, it got hung up all around the island. Now it's abandoned and looks like something straight out of a horror movie. Coming in at number 2, we have Wittenoom, Australia. Located north-northeast of Perth, Australia, Wittenoom is considered one of Australia's deadliest towns. And you would think it would have to do with Australia's massive and deadly insects, but surprisingly not. In fact, it's because of its blue asbestos. In 1937, blue asbestos was discovered in the city's gorge. Years later, miners were unearthing tons of asbestos from the ground. It wasn't until 1978 that the government started pushing people out of their homes. They realized how deadly it was for them to be living there. It was increasing their risk for cancer. And in some cases, people were already developing lung cancer just from living there. It would cost the town about $2.43 million to rid the town of asbestos. So instead of doing that, they just shut the town down completely. In 2006, the government turned off the power to the town and had its name removed from maps and road signs. In fact, all roads that once led to the town are now closed off. If you do choose to enter the town, you will find tons of huge warning signs advising you to turn back. And in our number 1 spot, we have Pripyat, Ukraine. This is probably the most famous abandoned city on the list. So Pripyat was a city in Ukraine that had a population of 49,000 individuals. However, on April 27, 1986, all residents were forced to evacuate following the Chernobyl disaster. Pripyat was the most affected by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster since they were the closest to the power plant. They were the ones most exposed to the radioactive chemicals. A once beautiful city was left abandoned in just 3 hours. Due to the radiation, the city will be left untouched for thousands of more years until it's safe enough to return.
Starting off this countdown, we have the tomb of Jinshi Huang. In 1974 in China, a group of farmers came across something quite amazing. So they were digging a well when they dug out a life-size terracotta soldier. After that, archaeologists spent 4 decades excavating the site. They found an army of thousands of these terracotta soldiers. Experts say there's more than 8,000 of them. The soldiers are guarding the tomb of Jinshi Huang, which is off limits to everyone, including scientists. Why? Well, it's rumored that it's protected by deadly booby traps. Not only that, there's a high concentration of mercury in the tomb, which is very deadly for anyone if they entered without the proper equipment. So the tomb is off limits for any and everyone. In our 9th spot, we have Discovery Island. Discovery Island is now an abandoned park by Disney that opened in 1974. But before I go any further, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, comment down below, you know the drill, it really helps us out. It was located in the middle of Bay Lake by Disney World. In order to get to it, visitors would take a boat from Disney World. The park was known for having an incredible amount of exotic birds from all over the world. The attraction was basically like a miniature zoo. But in 1989, it was revealed that Disney wasn't taking proper care of the animals on the island. And the employees were caught doing some messed up things to the animals. In 1998, Animal Kingdom opened, and people just really didn't care about Discovery Island anymore. The island closed in 1999 for undisclosed reasons, and all of its animals got moved to Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now the island is just completely abandoned. Its structures are covered in nature, but it's illegal to go there. In fact, you're not allowed to get within 50 feet of its shoreline, and you'll be arrested if caught trespassing. There are a number of examples of people getting arrested for trying to get on this island. Just last year, some man was arrested after he was found camping out there. In April of 2020, Richard McGuire was arrested for visiting the island as well. Kind of makes you wonder why that area is so highly patrolled. Coming in at number 8, we have Lascaux Caves in France. The Lascaux Caves are a series of complex caves located in northwestern France. Back in the day, 4 teens were exploring the caves with their dog when they found a narrow entrance into a cavern.
In the cavern, they discovered a plethora of prehistoric cave paintings. These paintings are anywhere from 15,000 to 17,000 years old. They mainly depict animals. In 1948, the caves were open to the public, but in 1963, they were closed. The artificial light was fading the vivid colors of these paintings. And then algae started growing all over them. So in order to preserve the history, they prevent anyone from going there. The only exception is a small number of scientists. They can go there only a few days a month in order to study the paintings. Other than that, no one else can go. Moving on to number 7, we have Room 39 in North Korea. North Korea has its fair share of secrets. Kim Jong-un likes it that way. He doesn't want anyone knowing what he's up to. Now, Room 39 is a top secret, highly guarded location inside of the Workers' Party building in Pyongyang. Journalist Kelly Olsen said, and I quote, "Room 39 is one of the most secret organizations in arguably the world's most secretive state. Only a few select people have access to this room. It was created in the late 1970s, and no one really knows what goes on in there. But it's reported that it's very critical to the Kim family. And I'm sure you can imagine what the guards would do if you were caught trespassing or attempting to break into the room. It would not end pretty." Moving on to number 6, we have Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Club is this group of rich men who meet in the Bohemian Grove in California every July. Among the attendees are US presidents, government members, and business leaders. You get the picture. Some very wealthy men. Some say that this is like a cult. Everything that goes on there is top secret. Apparently, what happens at the Bohemian Grove stays at the Bohemian Grove. In 2000, filmmaker Alex Jones and his cameraman snuck into the camp and filmed a Bohemian Grove ceremony. It was called the Cremation of the Care. Sounds very creepy. Here's a section of what he captured.
Again, midsummer sets us free.
We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Poveglia, Italy. This island has a very, very dark past. During the Middle Ages, when the plague took the lives of thousands, this island was used as a dumping ground for the bodies. According to some reports, 50% of the island's soil consists of human remains. Then in the 1920s, the island had a mental institution, but the hospital workers were corrupt and often conducted experiments on the patients. Then over the years, the island has been bought and sold 3 times. The first 2 owners sold the island after witnessing some paranormal activity. It's said that the souls of the deceased haunt the island. In fact, to this day, this island is known as one of the most haunted places on Earth. Now the island is just abandoned and no one is allowed to visit it. I mean, you can, but you have to fill out a bunch of paperwork. In the end, it's not really worth it. In our 4th spot, we have Pripyat, Ukraine. I mean, it's kind of obvious why this one's on the list. So Pripyat was a city in Ukraine that had a population of 49,000 people. However, on April 27, 1986, all residents were forced to evacuate following the Chernobyl disaster. Pripyat was the most affected by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster since they were the closest to the power plant. They were the ones most exposed to the radioactive chemicals. Due to the radiation, the city will be left untouched for thousands of more years until it's safe enough to return. But of course, there have been a number of explorers that have gone there to check out the city's ruins. But like I said, because of the radiation levels, it's deemed too unsafe to go to, and people are warned not to. In our 3rd spot, we have the Paris Catacombs. The Paris Catacombs are a series of tunnels located under Paris, France. In the 18th century, the catacombs were created when the Paris cemeteries were full. They needed a place to bury the dead. As a result, they buried the dead underground in a series of tunnels. There is approximately 150 miles of tunnels in a maze-like fashion, making it extremely easy to get lost. Ever seen the movie As Above, So Below? Now, a portion of these tunnels are still accessible today and have attracted numerous explorers. But there's an area in the Paris catacombs that is completely blocked off from the public. It's because it's extremely easy for you to get lost with the number of pathways they have. Also, there's over 6 million people buried there, so maybe not go there. A couple of years ago, 2 young explorers went into the banned area and went missing for 3 full days. Finally, the authorities, along with their team of rescue dogs, found the boys in the tunnels. Thankfully, they both survived, only suffering from hypothermia. It could have ended much worse. In our second spot, we have Pluto's Gate in Turkey. Back in the day, it was believed that anything that entered this area would be killed by the god Pluto himself. On a number of occasions, animals like bulls would be led into this cavern. They would never make it back out alive. As a result, people were terrified to go anywhere near there. But a couple of years ago, it was discovered what was actually causing this. Scientists noticed that at night, the CO2 concentration would become heavier in the air. CO2 is not normally toxic, but in high concentrations, it is, and will starve the body of oxygen. So yes, if you go there, the level of CO2 is so strong that you could die from asphyxiation. It's super dangerous, and as a result, people are banned from going there. And in our number 1 spot, we have Wittenoom, Australia. Located northeast of Perth, Australia, Wittenoom is considered one of Australia's deadliest towns. This is because of its blue asbestos problem. In 1937, blue asbestos was discovered in the city's gorge. Years later, miners were unearthing tons of asbestos from the ground. It wasn't until 1978 that the government started pushing people out of their homes. They realized how deadly it was for them to be living there. It was increasing their risk for cancer, and in some cases, people were already developing lung cancer just from living there. Now, it would cost the town about $2.43 million to get rid of this asbestos problem. So instead of doing that, they just shut down the town completely. In 2006, the government turned off power to the town and had its name removed from maps and road signs. In fact, all roads that once led to this town are now closed off. If you do choose to enter this town, you'll find tons of huge warning signs advising you to turn back. Starting off this countdown, we have Rock House Mine. Back in 2018, 3 young adults decided to go explore the Rock House Powellton Mine in the town of Clear Creek, Virginia. They were Erica Tidway, Kayla Williams, and Cody Beverly. Now, to get into this abandoned mine, they had to crawl through a small ventilation shaft in the mine. But while exploring, they got lost and were walking around in the dark for hours. When these individuals did not return home, a search party was sent out for them. They were missing for 5 days until thankfully they were located. Erica was found first. She got separated from her 2 friends. 30 minutes later, Kayla and Cody were found together. After this, a statement was released warning urban explorers to stop entering abandoned mines. So yeah, maybe don't follow in their footsteps and go exploring abandoned locations. Moving on, at number 9 we have Prohibited. And if you guys are liking this video so far, make sure to give it a big thumbs up because it really helps us out. Now, this is considered one of the most spectacular landmarks of the Czech Republic. In fact, it's the biggest sandstone arc in Europe. Basically, it's a narrow rock arc. The arc is 16 meters above the ground and 26 meters long. But in 1982, the government stopped allowing people to visit there. Because of erosion and the amount of visitors, this arc was becoming way too dangerous. In fact, they believe that anytime it can just collapse on its own, which is why no one can visit the ark anymore. It's definitely not safe. In our 8th spot, we have the Chapel of the Ark of the Covenant. Located in Ethiopia, this place is said to contain the 2 stone tablets that God gave Moses containing the 10 Commandments. It is also said to contain a pot of manna as well. Manna was given to people by God to sustain them while on their long travels throughout the desert. So yeah, if it's true and they do have those, then that's a pretty huge deal. But here's the one thing. Only one priest, and one priest only, is allowed to view the ark. It's said that if anyone else sees it, then they will implode. And I don't think anyone wants to implode, so I doubt anyone has even tried to take that risk. In our 7th spot, we have Mezgorye, Russia. Believe it or not, but this is an entire town that's closed off to the public. The town was founded in 1979 and is a nuclear missile site. But that's unconfirmed. That's just what the rumors say. It's said that this place is home to automatic missiles that can be activated remotely. If you try to get into this town, well, good luck, because it's heavily guarded and top secret. The only information that we have on this place is from images from satellite imagery. Now, the Kremlin claims, and I quote, "The site is used for mining, an emergency bunker for Russian leaders, and a vault for the nation's treasures." We don't know if that's true or not, but hopefully we will never find out if it's really a nuclear site or whatnot. Moving on to number 6, we have Krakow, Italy. Krakow, Italy was once a beautiful city, home to a number of residents. Sadly, it was abandoned towards the end of the 20th century. This was due to a number of natural disasters that destroyed the town. The first natural disaster occurred in 1963 when a bunch of landslides affected the area. This is a result of the city being built on a cliff 1,300 feet off the ground. And also they had some sewer and water system issues. Then in 1972 a flood struck the area and made the situation so much more worse. Then in 1980 there was an earthquake and that left the city completely abandoned. Now the area is surrounded by a locked gate. It's said to be a ticking time bomb. At any second it could just completely crumble. But here's the thing, it's a very popular filming location. In fact, some scenes from the film The Quantum of Solace were filmed there. So although you're not allowed to go there, they make an exception for film crews. But obviously they have very strict rules that they need to follow. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with VAROSHA, Cyprus. In the early 70s, VAROSHA was one of the most popular tourist attractions in the world. That was until 1974 when Turkey invaded Cyprus. As a result, the residents there fled for their lives. They were forced out of their home and never allowed to return. They lost everything. Now, since 1974, VAROSHA has been abandoned and under control of the Turkish military. The whole area is now fenced off and under constant supervision. If you try to break in, well, the army patrols have orders to shoot on sight. So don't even try to visit the city. They are not afraid to take down trespassers. And there are some cases of this happening to innocent people. Coming in at number 4, we have the Island of Dolls. You all know this island by now. I have talked about it before because it's just so damn creepy. So this island is located in Mexico City, and just as its name suggests, it's filled with dolls. These dolls are hanging from trees and buildings, they're just everywhere. Also, since they've been hanging for quite some time, they are covered in dirt and bugs, making them even creepier. Now, you're probably wondering how this place came to be. So back in the 1950s, a man named Don Julian started to hang dolls from trees as a way to protect himself against evil spirits. Paranormal things kept happening to him there, so he would hang dolls everywhere with the idea that they would scare the souls of the deceased away. Another version of the story claims that a girl mysteriously drowned there. And now the dolls are possessed by her spirit. In fact, some people say that they have seen the dolls move their limbs and open and close their eyes. So this man spent more than 50 years hanging dolls. Now it's abandoned and looks something straight out of a horror movie. Of course, urban explorers have trespassed out of sheer curiosity. In our 3rd spot, we have the Proving Ground. Located in Utah, the Dugway Proving Ground is the main biological and chemical weapons testing site for the US Army. Apparently, this base also contains top secret US military research documents. As a result, it's a very top secret facility. In 1968, something controversial actually occurred at this base. I've talked about this before, but basically a high-speed jet sprayed 320 gallons of nerve gas VX around the air in a test. This is so deadly that 10 milligrams can kill people instantly. Anyways, it sprayed in an area near a farm. And the next day, thousands of sheep were found dead. But the facility denied that it was their fault and said that they weren't testing chemicals that day. But they paid the rancher who lost his sheep over $300,000 and tried to keep the situation hush hush. But that didn't work and people are like, what is going on over there? Sadly, we'll never know what's actually going on. It's like Area 51. If you try to trespass, you can be shot down or arrested. In our 2nd spot, we have Vault B. This vault is located in Padma Temple, a Hindu temple located in India. It was built in the 16th century as a holy shrine to Mahavishnu. Later on, the kings of Travancore renovated it. Now this temple contains 6 vaults, 5 of which have already been opened, and it contained up to $1 trillion worth of treasures. Yeah, these treasures are from the 16th century and include gold and jewels, you name it. But no one wants to open the last vault, referred to as Vault B. Why? Well, legend goes that it's cursed. Locals tell of a story of a man that tried to enter this vault, but failed after a cobra came out of nowhere and killed him. So they believe that this vault is protected by a fatal curse. Another legend says that the vault is connected to the Arabian Sea. If you open it, it will flood the entire state. Not only that, but a man named T.P. Sundarajan, an Indian lawyer, made a petition to get Vault B open. However, in 2011, he unexpectedly passed away. People think that he was a victim of the temple's curse. And in our number 1 spot, we have the Cecil Hotel. I'm sure you guys have all heard about the Cecil Hotel, aka Hotel Death. It's the infamous place where Canadian college student Elisa Lam died, and was later found in the hotel's water tank. Now this hotel was founded in 1924 in downtown Los Angeles. In 1927, it opened up as a budget hotel. It had 19 floors and 700 rooms available. Originally, the hotel was meant for business travelers and tourists, but after the Great Depression, it became a budget hotel. Over the years, a number of deaths have occurred in the hotel. From murders to serial killers, the hotel is just plagued with darkness. Eventually, in 2017, the Cecil Hotel closed, and now it's off limits. But there are rumors that this place is haunted by Elisa or others that have lost their lives there. So, urban explorers are determined to explore the now abandoned hotel. Take YouTuber Jake Weber for example. He just recently posted several videos of him getting into the hotel and exploring it. He managed to bribe the security officer there, and they let him and his friends inside for a couple of hours to explore and film.
Guys, this is her room. This was her room.